I'm going to be baking some cookies. These are a dark chocolate olive oil cookie. They're very moist. The olive oil really adds a richness and a moistness to this cookie, a chewiness. They're fantastic because there's chocolate in them, first of all, but you can kind of mix it up, like whatever you've got in your cupboard. If you've got walnuts or hazelnuts or dates or raisins, you really can sort of do whatever you feel like with these cookies, and you can't really make them bad. They're just delightful and really, really quite easy and fast. The recipe is going to be on bakewithmetv.com, so head over there when the video is done if you want to make these. And at the same time, why don't you just subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the little bell for the notifications so you know when a recipe has dropped. I'm doing lots of things in the next few weeks I'm pretty excited about. I'm basically traveling through my recipes. It's kind of my focus for the next couple of months. I want to travel with my palette. Please follow along. I would love to have you along for the ride. So the first thing we want to do is take our olive oil. I've got 3/4 of a cup here, and I'm just going to pour this into my mixer. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, and 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar, and 2 eggs. So I'm just going to crack them, and then we're going to beat this. We're just beating this to combine it. Going to give the sides of the bowl a little scraping. So what you have so far, it just looks like that. So what I have here is 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I'm just going to pour that in there. I'm just going to give that a little mix. And then I'm just going to pour this into my liquid. So it's not really liquid, but it's liquidy. I'm going to mix this enough so that the dough comes together into a nice smooth dough. We don't want to overmix it. I have my 8 ounces of dark chocolate chips here. I'm just going to give them a little chop so that they aren't quite so chunky or chippy. I want them to be a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to give them a little chop. I'm going to add these now back into my mixer, give it one last mix, and they're ready to go in the oven. I find this dough to be quite solid as well, so you kind of have to work it a little bit to get the chocolate chips evenly dispersed in the dough. Basically what happens is the dough sort of comes apart quite easily, so the chocolate chips kind of fall out of the dough. Not really a big deal, like when we get down to putting them on the cookie sheet. Just while we're mixing it, it might seem like there's like a little pile of chocolate chips at the bottom of your mixer. No big deal, you can kind of work it in with your hands once we take it out of the mixer. So I'll just do this until all those loose chocolate chips are kind of picked up by the dough and worked into the bulk of the dough. It's a lot of chocolate in this recipe. They are not disappointing in the chocolate department. Hello. I am ready to make my balls. So I have got my 2 prepared cookie sheets here. They just have a little parchment paper on them. I'm just going to take my cookie scoop and scoop myself a little cookie there. And then you just want to roll it into a small ball, just like so. And then place it down on the cookie sheet. You can make these cookies bigger if you want. I just like a small cookie. And they do spread out just a little bit, so I would say about 2 inches apart on the cookie sheets, probably ample room. You don't want to squeeze it really hard, but you want to give it a little bit of a squiz. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my hand and I'm just going to squish them down just a little bit. Just like so. Squish, squish. And then I'm going to put the magic ingredient, the Maldon flaked sea salt. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little and I'm just going to flake a little bit on top of each cookie. And this is really going to add just that delicious salty sweet that, you know, so many of us love. So I'm going to put these in a 375-degree oven for about 9 to 12 minutes. All right, my cookies have come out of the oven and just look at them. They're pretty freaking perfect looking. So smelly in a good way. They smell awesome. They're just these beautiful puffed up little gems of chocolate olive oil goodness. They're so delicious. I'm just going to transfer them to my cooling rack so that they cool faster so I can take a bite without scalding my tongue on chocolate. Really, they look so beautiful. I'm ready to give these a taste. So first of all, just feast your eye on that. It's got that beautiful little crackled texture. on the top and that perfect sort of golden brown on the bottom, I think they're going to be a little bit crispy and a little bit chewy. Just amazing. Put them in there for 10 minutes. My oven is a little bit wacky, so I always have to watch really carefully to make sure that they don't overbake. The last time I made these, I forgot about a batch in the oven. They came out, they were very brown. They weren't burnt, but they were brown and hard. So I really didn't want to eat them, but what I did was I threw them into my Cuisinart and I whirled them around to make crumbs. And I think I made 2 cheesecakes with those crumbs. The thing too, you can almost fool yourself they're healthy because olive oil, good for you. I do whatever I can to eat healthy. Cheers everyone, and happy baking.